Alright, welcome to part 10 of the kitchen tutorial. In this tutorial I'll show you how to texture everything as well as do a few bits of modeling that need to be done just because they do. So let's do the modeling part first. The first thing we're going to do here is adjust the stove hood. I couldn't quite figure out what was wrong with it because it doesn't look right in the renders. So we're just going to do a couple quick adjustments to it. So go to the vertices here and press R and just scale these in and scale them this way and simply drag them back. Right about there is good. This will just give it a bit more variation in the actual render. And then take these and just drag them in so you can't see them. Oops. On the XY axis. And do the same with the other side. Simply drag it in. A little more. There we go. Solves that one problem. Next, you may have not made the same mistake, but this plate over here was too big on mine, so I scaled it down just a little bit. Lastly, we're going to make some window frames for this because, well, we need them. The light doesn't look right as it is right now, so should be pretty easy. Make a box using AutoGrid, like so. Convert to editable poly, press 1, and actually let's get rid of safe frames for a second. And as you can see, I've already textured the scene, so we're going to run through these textures and I'll show you how I did them. So make a basic window here. It's like this, extrude. Doesn't have to be perfect by any means. So bring it over like this. Extrude that. Okay, go up, extrude it. And bring it up some more. Maybe to about here. And bring it down right to here. And then select both these polygons, extrude, and bring them down. Okay, select this one, and simply bridge them. Alright, that'll give us a nice frame here. Let me actually just assign a random material to it for now so I can see it. I just don't think I did that right. So let's select the box and sign. Okay, there we go. Looks much better. Okay, perspective and Z. Selecting the same thing here. Go to copy, rotate 90 degrees, and position it in the other windowsill. You can go in the front viewport to do this. Simply line it up. So I think actually let's go in the back viewport. Maybe this will be easier. That way we can see what we're doing. So like this. Press 1, select both these and bring them over. Okay, that's good. And make sure the bottom is good as well. Okay, good. Let me double check here. Let's select this polygon, I guess, and bring it up just a bit. Just trying to equalize both the sides. Okay, and then bring this one down just a bit. Alright, so that's good. Next, just select these, hit the line, Control A, chamfer, and just give it a very slight chamfer with 2, and do the same for the other one. So 2, Control A, chamfer, and give it a very slight chamfer with 2. Okay. Next, we're going to add I guess we can try a box. Maybe it'll work. So simply pick a box here, give it a thickness of about 1/2 centimeter, and then move it in just so we get about halfway, and make a box over here with similar parameters, so height 1/2 centimeter, and simply move it in. Okay, and you're not going to do this just yet, but you will soon. So these are going to be glass. Alright, there we go. So that was all the little modeling things I wanted to do. Now let's go on to the materials. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember what I decided. Okay, so let me just show you a quick test render here. This is a this is an older render without the changes you just saw, but it should be the same if it'll let me. So this is basically the kind of a look we have, except the windows should be a lot better now and whatnot, and also this is going to change. So you can see we have nice textures for all of the cabinets, the floor, the chairs are nice, we have our vases, chrome, copper material, stainless steel. We've got basically everything a kitchen has. Oh, and the marble, I like that, and I'll show you how to do it all. So I'm going to do a brief overview. I've uploaded all the required textures and whatnot to my photo bucket page. You can just Google search me, and there's also a link on the channel page, the home page. So you should be able to do all that, or you can, I'll tell you generally how I did it if you want to use your own textures, but let's just get started right away. So the first texture is the wall. It's a simple V-Ray material with just a kind of whitish green color. You can see my settings here: 212, 212, 196, 43, 19, 212. I just added it to the wall. There's no bump or anything. I didn't really want to make it that complex. Other than that, everything else is standard on that. That's the wall material. So simply drag and drop to the wall. Next, we have the bamboo floor material. This is a little bit more complex. So let's go from the top down. To start off with, I have a diffuse map, and it looks like this. So you can see it's a big image. I made it tileable in Photoshop, and again I've uploaded this so you don't have to. There are many tutorials on how to make it tileable, but basically it involves copy, paste, edit the texture, offset it, and make sure there are no seams. I made sure I checked use real world scale for this image, and I set the size to 100 by 200 centimeters. And that'll basically give and press show shaded material in viewport on the bitmap channel to show it on the actual floor. Next, I set the reflections to a kind of gray color, 18, 18, 18, 0, 0, 18. And this will give it a bit of reflection so you can see things on it. And I gave it a reflect map as well, which looks like this, which is a black and white image with high contrast of the image I just showed you. And I've uploaded that as well, and it's doing horrible things. Make sure you check use real world scale, 100 by 200. Okay? And the glossiness I set at 0.95 to give it a little bit of a blur. I've checked Fresnel reflections, and you press this L button and that'll unlock them, and you set them to 3.5. That's just basically how the reflections change depending on your viewing angle and how far away they are. Let's see, what else did I do here? I also gave it a slight bump map using the same texture for the reflection map, and I set the value at 5. And again, make sure you click Use Real World Scale 100 by 200. And for the bump map, or the reflect map, I set, like I said before, I set this gray color here, and I mixed it 50-50 with the reflect map by changing this reflect value to 50. Alright, that's all there is for the floor texture. We're going to skip this one. Actually, wait, no, we're not going to skip this one. This is the marble. It's actually an Emperador marble, but let's see. Emperador, probably spelled wrong, but oh well. What I have here is a tileable texture of Emperador that I made. And you can see it right here. I just simply copied, rotated, and it's uploaded to PhotoBucket. And I use real world scale of 150 by 100. Okay, and again, check the show shaded material in viewport when you're in the diffuse slot to see it in your scene. And I have the reflection set at a neutral gray color, 50-50-50, 0-0-50. This gives it pretty strong reflections. And the glossiness is at 0.97. This gives it pretty clear reflections. There's not very much blurriness. And the Fresnel reflections are set at 30. And that's the only thing I have for the marble, or the granite, I guess. Next are the bamboo cabinets. So all of these textures. And for the diffuse material, I have a bamboo cabinet material. It's different than the floor material, so I've uploaded this as well. It simply doesn't have the seams and whatnot, and it's kind of more squished horizontally, if you will. And that is use real world scale, size 30 by 200. Fresnel reflections are set at 3.5. The reflect map is 333003, a very dark gray, so not, or dark black almost, so not many reflections, with the same reflect map in it. The one that is the black and white version of the diffuse map. I have that mixed with the color at 15%, and I've given it a bump with the same map at 3. And remember, use real world scale for all of these. Now, on the same page as this, what you have to do for all of these textures is apply a UVW map modifier to the counters and maybe the floors, make it a box, and check the use real world map size option. Now, I made sure that all of these were horizontal, and sometimes they would start off as Z, and you can see how they're vertical. Just simply hit X, and that'll make it horizontal. That's the only thing I really had to do, and everything in here basically has a UVW modifier to it. Okay, moving right along. Here's the glass material, which I used for the vase as well as both windows. And the diffuse color I made relatively light. Even though glass is normally dark, in the diffuse color I wanted it to look more clear and realistic almost. In this scene, normally it would be dark. The reflect is pretty high, 180, 180, 180, and then 0, 0, 180. There are Fresnel reflections set at 1.6. And the refract is also high at 220 all across the board, and then 0, 0, 220. And let's see what else we have. We have a slight noise introduced, and it's set at size 5. Now what this does is it basically distorts the reflections just a bit because of the unevenness made in normal glass. And the bump is set at 2, so it's a very subtle effect. And that's all there is for the glass. Next we have the frosted glass, which I use for these 4 windows here. and it's the same as the glass except for the glossiness is set to 0.7 and the glossiness and the refraction is set to 0.75. Everything else is the exact same. This will just give it a frosted over look, which you can see well in here eventually. Let's see, is it going to load? Nope, it's going to go not responding. Alright, there it goes, about 1 second after I pause it, so you can see the nice kind of glossy reflections. Next material we have the chrome, which I used for the sink over here. You can't really see it real well in this image, but let's let this load for a second. I have a lot of stuff open, but you can see it here. It's nice and shiny, and I used it for the little cups here as well. And what that is come up here. The diffuse color is a dark black set at 1. So very, very dark. You don't want to use 0 because it sometimes creates render artifacts and things that don't look very good. So always use a value of 1 for things like that. A reflect value set really high. 210, 210, 00, 210. Fresnel reflections of 100, so they're very, very subtle, but it does indeed have them. We also, again, just like the glass, have a slight noise map. This is a size of 1, and we are giving it only a value of 3. So again, it's very subtle. You probably won't even be able to see it, but it is there. And that's basically it for the chrome material. Very simple material. Next, let's go on to the stainless steel matte. And that's what we use for basically all the stove, the handles and whatnot, and the refrigerator. So we have a lighter diffuse color than chrome. It's 8. And the reflect is again 180, 180, 180, 00, 180. So it's very reflective. And we give it a glossiness of 0.91. This kind of distorts, makes the reflections fuzzy. Fresnel reflections of value 50. And also because these reflections are kind of grainy, I upped the subdivisions here to 16 to kind of smooth them out a bit. And again, I have a similar noise map. It's the same as the one for the chrome, size of 1 and a value of 3 here in the bump slot. Next, this material is assigned to, as I said, the oven and the stove and the refrigerator, but also to all the handles on the cabinets, as well as the chrome material is assigned to the legs of the chairs, I believe. Next, let's go into copper, and this is assigned to the hood here of the stove. And the diffuse is kind of a coppery color, the base material, so it's 944, 255, 142, and 9. And this will give us kind of a nice brownish look to go off of. But the real color of metals comes from the reflection, and you can see it's 180, 74, 49, 8, 186, 180. This gives it that nice shiny coppery look depending on which way the light is. Glossiness reflections are set at 0.96. It has 50 Fresnel reflections for the index of refraction. And again, it has that same noise map of a size 1 with a value of 3 in the bump section. Okay. Next, let's go on to the more frosted glass. I don't know what this is, so I'm guessing I didn't use it. Must have just copied it here on accident. So let's go into the plastic black, light shiny, and I basically use this for the inside of the refrigerator thing here, as well as the outside. I think, let's see, burners, floor mats, yeah. So this is used for the outside of the refrigerator of the water dispenser thing, as well as I think that's it actually. I may have used it on one of these because we have, I think this is stainless, and yeah, this must be the light plastic material for this whitish looking color here. And what that is a diffuse of 71, 71, 71, 0, 0, 71. A reflect value of 140 all the way across. Glossiness set at 0.95. 1.45 for now reflections, which 1.45 is basic plastic. And I think that was all I did. Yep, so that makes a basic plastic material. Next is going to be the plastic white shiny, and I basically use this for all the plates in the scene, plates and urns and things in here, as well as this bowl, and also all the plates and things on top here. And that is a value of 210 in the diffuse color, a reflect value of 140, glossiness at 0.95, the same for now reflections at 1.45, and I believe that's it. So let's go on to the next material. The next material is for the burners. So that's let's see if it's going to let me. Here we go. So that's for these things right here. And by the way, these middle things I gave a stainless steel texture to. But for the actual things the pots sit on, we have a diffuse color of 9, a reflect color of 27, glossiness of 0.5, so it doesn't reflect very much or anything sharp. No Fresnel reflections on this one, just because it looked better that way. And a noise map, size 5, and bump of 30. Alright. Next, we're going to have the material for the floor mats. So these things down here. And that's diffuse of 38, a reflect value of 9, and I used a small bump map for this as well with a size of 50 and a value of 5. Okay. Next, for the fridge display, so that's this thing over here, I again added a UVW map modifier to this, made it a plane. I converted it to an editable poly afterward, but in the diffuse color I simply have the image of the refrigerator display, and I simply put it in the diffuse slot. I didn't use real world scale or anything for this. I let it do its own thing. And other than that, this material is basically the exact same. Just gave it a simple diffuse color. And the same goes for the stove top, or the stove display, which is going to be this thing. It doesn't display in the viewport, but it looks like this. And I did the exact same thing. I just put it in the diffuse slot, and that's it. And finally, we have the dark metal material, which is what goes in the lights, as well as, or not, well, the lights, the light poles, as well as the top. And that's basically a diffuse of 988, 255, 289 to give it a dark metal look. I just wanted it to be darker than the copper because the copper looked too bright up here. And a reflect value of a dark brown, 1674, 11, 198, 16. Glossiness set at 0.96. Fresnel reflections, index of refraction of 50. And a slight noise at value 3, size 1. Okay? That basically sums up all the textures used in this scene. For the lights, we have, what I did is I went to this, the create button, lights, V-ray light, and you use plane, and with auto grid on you draw a light. Well, theoretically you draw a light like this to cover the window, and you click on the light, if it'll let you, Come on. Well, apparently I can't click on my own lights. Huh. There we go. And you make sure you set it to a skylight portal. This will use the color of the environment in the background to fuel the light. You do the same with this one, as well as with these two large ones on this side. I left the furniture here just because it would give some better reflections and whatnot. I mean, even though it's not modeled. And then next you're going to create a V-Ray sun and simply go into your 4 view here, and in the, I guess it would be left view, click here and drag out your sun. It'll ask you if you want to create a V-Ray environment map. Click yes. And just so you can see my sun settings, I think they're all default, so don't worry about that. For my camera, my V-Ray camera, focal length of 40, f number of 5 to lighten it a bit, shutter speed at 50 to lighten it even some more. Those are the only settings I changed there. Okay. Next, for render settings, I use the built-in frame buffer for V-Ray in the V-Ray tab, V-Ray frame buffer. I have anti-aliasing set to adaptive DMC and the filter set to area. And for a quicker render, change this to 1 and 4. For a better render, change it to 2 and 8, or you can bump it up even more if you want. Indirect illumination, turn it on. Primary is a radiance map, secondary is light cache. For a radiance map, make the preset high and show calc phase. And for the light cache, leave it as it is, except press show calc phase. In the settings tab, I believe all this is the same. Minimum sample is 8, adaptive mount 0.85, noise threshold of 0.1 or 0.01, sorry. The size I'm using is 1000 by 600. I think that is all there is to this. So let's give it a test render here and see what we come up with, and we can make some adjustments afterward if we need be, because this will be the first time I'm rendering with these two glass things in here and with the changed stove. So go into your renderer here and V-Ray physical camera render, and the V-Ray frame buffer will bring up a new little window somewhere, and this is the light cache preview, so I'll come back when it's done and we'll see how it turned out. Alright, actually before we do that, let's just bring the size down to 500 by 300 just to speed things up a bit. We can get the same results, except it'll be a little quicker, so here we go. Alright, so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the V-Ray frame buffer. One of the cool features is if you click this little track mouse while rendering and you hold your mouse over something, it'll render right where your mouse is. So you can get kind of selective rendering without using the render window. And this is the region render, so you can select a box with it and it'll render that out. I just want to show you that cool little thing, so you can render basically wherever you want to see first. Like say I want to see the windows first. Come over here and you hold your mouse and it will render the windows and everything around it in kind of a circle. And as you can see, that works well, really well. It's actually looking very nice so far. The windows have turned out better than I had hoped. I mean, it's obviously white outside, but it all works. You can add a little plane with an image back there of a backyard or something if you want. But that's not really what this tutorial is about. The stove looks really good, that nice deep copper feel with the kind of inset edges and whatnot. Plates look good with their white plasticky material. You have some nice shiny cups and whatnot. The vase here looks really good, lit up nicely with the reflections. The granite is or marble. This is very nice, sharp reflections from the windows, but you can still see the texture in it. Let's see, what else do we have here to show off. Let's go over here by the fridge for a while. So as you can see, the fridge has a very nice, what would I call it? stainless steel texture to it, and inside is a little plastic area for the water and whatnot. The floors have a nice high gloss to them, with the reflections of the chairs easily seen, and you can see them reflecting here from the sun. And there's some strange person banging outside. I don't know what it is, but that's off the topic. So back to where we were. All these are very distinct looking and nice. The cabinets here, all the textures are very well laid out. Have that nice kind of bamboo feel. And other than that, everything looks just about where I want it. You can even see the display in the refrigerator. There's not really anything I would change with this. Maybe make these things a bit thicker. But here you have it, the end of the kitchen tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun doing it. This is the first time I've really done a photorealistic kitchen of any sort. It's not the best by any means, but it's, you know, a good start. You can make anything from here. Add lights here for a kind of a night feel, lower the intensity, lights back here maybe. So I might make these a bit thicker as well, but overall I'm quite pleased with it. Hope you come back and see my next tutorials. I don't know what I'll be coming out with next, but I might continue on with my house theme, maybe do a living room or something like that. But anyway, have a great day, and please subscribe. Thank you.